Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we have brought the entire audience on with Cybertruck Mike.
Cybertruck Mike, that is illegal. I take great offense to this. Cybertruck Nick is my name. Cybertruck Mike.
Well, you have 100% less Cybertruck merch on than Mike right now.
You don't know what underwear I'm wearing. You don't know what underwear I'm wearing.
That is correct, and we're going to keep it that way.
Yes.
I don't want to know about that.
How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing okay. I'm very excited for the recent news that we got last night of the fact that Audi is making their own EV. That's basically the ID.4. No, I mean, it came out earlier yesterday. It's basically just the ID.4 reskinned as an Audi, which is what Audi
made the
did with
e-tron?
Porsche. Yeah. So they did
I
the
did not see
e-tron,
that.
and then also they did the e-tron Sport, which is just a reskin of the Porsche Taycan. And
that's what that was. I remember
and now
that.
they're
I was like,
taking
that looks a lot like the Taycan.
yeah, and now they're taking the ID.4 and reskinning it for, I think, their Q4 EV or whatever it's called. The Audi Q4.
Q4?
Q4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this going to launch in Q3 or Q4?
It has to be Q4, right?
Yeah.
We need to have it launch in Q4.
That wouldn't make any sense.
It's a bunch of executives sitting around the boardroom table like, when are we going to launch the Q4? One guy's like, Q3. And they're all like, get out,
I have an
John!
idea.
Get out!
They throw them out the window. So what do you think of rebranding other EVs? Just like what do they change? Do they alter the software or do they do some more custom styling?
In terms of the Q4, I don't know if there's too much known about it. I've just seen a exterior photo of it, and it looks very similar to an ID.4, but with just minor tweaks, which is basically what the what's called e-tron Sport is to the Taycan. Like it looks different on the outside, and maybe some. I mean, it shares the same side view mirrors and I think turn signals as well. Maybe. But
are they made at the same place, or are they just a shared design?
I don't know. I think maybe it's a shared design because they're all under the VW umbrella. They're all owned by VW, I think, or maybe VW is owned by something else. Anyways, they're all in the same pool of things, so it makes sense that they're sharing things. But it just reminded me of what Cadillac did to the Chevy Volt because GM owns Chevy and Cadillac. Chevy made the Chevy Volt. Fantastic product as a hybrid system that is at a good price or modest price and has good storage. And then you get to the Cadillac. Oh goodness, is it a CTV or I forget the name of it. Just it's a two-seater, doesn't have good storage, doesn't have good electric range compared to the Volt, and it costs like $80,000 or something like that. So that's what I'm kind of expecting with Audi's Q4 EV or whatever it is.
It's like the ID.4 but worse.
ID.4 but worse. Well, better in terms of materials, but worse in terms of like improvements, I guess.
I see.
Well,
I guess
it doesn't look bad. Like the Audi Q4 e-tron, which is their electric SUV that you guys are talking about, right? It doesn't look terrible. I mean, I've seen worse looking cars. It's pretty aggressive.
Yes, the BMW i3 does exist. That is true. But
I like the i3. The i3 in me had a little love affair once upon a time. I wanted one, and then I saw I saw the thickness of the wheels, and I was like, "Ooh, no, thank you." It was when everyone was realizing that they depreciated like 90% in their first 3 years, and I was like, "Oh, I could pick one of these up for like $12,000. It'd be full EV, and it'd be pretty cool." And then I saw that the tires were only like 3 inches wide, and I was like, "Oh, that's not cool."
What you need is the city car.
What's that?
It is a literal cheese wedge. Look up CITI car. The Cybertruck is heavily inspired, I think, from the city car. It's the most beautiful vehicle mankind has ever produced.
It is on par with the block of Swiss cheese that I had for breakfast this morning.
You had a whole block of cheese.
It was a wedge, actually. But yes.
It was the size of a car, too.
Oh, no. Well, now we now know the secret of getting tall like Nick.
Yeah, you know how tall I am if I eat an entire car's worth of cheese for breakfast. It's not 6 feet 4 inches, it's 64 feet and 8 inches.
64 feet. Wow. That's big. You did mention the Q4. I will say it's pretty eye-catching, at least the ID.4 was for me, as I saw my first one last week.
Yeah,
and I was
it in my
very
face,
impressed.
why don't you? I was like, oh, Drew gets to see all the fun cars. My goodness, what is he doing?
Just reach out to your 4th grade teachers.
Okay.
That's what I did.
Let's see. That's probably not going to work for me.
Mr. Hatch. What was your 4th grade teacher, Nick?
I was homeschooled all the way through. So my mother. And I know she does not have an electric
To your
vehicle.
mother.
Go ask your mother. Go ask your mother what she's
Mom,
driving.
do you have an ID.4?
For all those wondering, my mother is an actual teacher. She taught in Orange County for many, many years before I was born. So I wasn't under a rock.
My mom homeschooled me 5th grade.
Oh, really?
So
Well, who was your
We're-
5th grade teacher, Drew?
can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh well.
You're related to
But the ID.4 caught my eye as soon as I drove to the park where we met up for it. I was looking around for them all week once I heard that he was like my favorite teacher outside of my parents. He was great.
Good
He
answer,
was really
Drew.
fun. So I kept up. Yeah, I can't say he was better than my parents. That's against the laws of nature. So I won't go there. But I heard from my uncle, actually. He's like, he bought some new electric VW, the ID something. And I was like, whoa, he got an ID.4, because I was good friends with him, and he was kind of like the first Apple sheep person I ever knew.
Ooh.
Like when I was in the 4th grade, he had every iPod and all Mac stuff. Now he's all Android, so dreams shattered. But he really, really liked it, and when we met up, it was cool to catch up with him off camera a bit too, to just talk about life. And he's been retired for 8 years now, and he's just traveling, loving life. And
That's great.
he was doing all kinds of trips with the ID.4 that he was loving, and there's been quite a bit of hate on it online, I'd say. I think that there's a bit of I'm trying not to name names. There's a Tesla fan base of people that are just very, very inclined and very excited and get pumped at the idea that there is an electric vehicle that is worse than a Tesla, because that reaffirms their belief that Tesla is the best, Tesla's in the lead, and Tesla's the leader, and they're by far the best. Which, for the record, I still agree with. They are the leader, and I do think value overall, the Model Y is a better vehicle, but it's also $10,000 more than the ID.4, which we got to give some credit where credit is due when it comes to value and affordability, and the fact that they made a EV that, even when the standard range Model Y was available, it was about the same price and has quite a few advantages over the Model Y, between the insanely good turning radius, the massage chairs, the fact it's still got the ceiling handles, which my wife really appreciates.
I
she
like
loves
that,
grabbing those things.
like shade thing. That was pretty cool.
That too. I had not seen that on the Mach-E or obviously I can't even imagine it on the Tesla because of how thin the columns are on the inside of the Y.
Very minimalist on the Y.
It would be very minimalist, and that's a style, but I felt like the ID.4 has a very large, very present market, because it was this perfect blend of driving it and messing around with the interior and stuff. It was like this perfect blend of what people are used to in a car, and now also all electric, because it still had creep, and it still had, the start function, and it still the user interface was probably my biggest issue with it. Just the software was so dated, and it was just, basically Android Auto or CarPlay, and that was about it. But that's what a lot of people are so used to, and that's what so many people are comfortable with. And it felt very intuitive, between the door handles, between the braking and the acceleration was pretty. It surprised me how fast it was. Not as crazy as Mike's Model Y, but it was still pretty fast.
Wait, Mike has a Model Y?
What? Hold on, this is news. When did I get one?
Covered this. When did this happen?
It's been like a year.
But
I think.
I was thoroughly impressed, and my wife was doing all the camera work as I was driving and stuff.
Yeah,
and when we
she
left,
is an
I was
awesome
like,
cinematographer. I was like, good job, Louise.
Oh, thank you. I think so too. I told her she did a great
Was
job.
she using
and
a gimbal?
No, she wasn't.
Who needs a gimbal
Using
when you've
that
got
good
Louise?
old iPhone 12 mini. My wife is the gimbal. That's why Nick needs one. Gimbal. He doesn't have a wife.
Hold on.
You don't know what my gimbal and I do at night.
I
This
actually
T on my
enjoyed.
shirt. This stands for timeout.
Okay.
I was gonna say I watched that video that you did, that you and Louise got to experience this fantastic vehicle. I thought it was pretty nice. It was very informative as well. I didn't know that the turning radius was so fantastic.
It shocked me. I don't think the video did it justice. I would highly encourage either of you or anybody listening, like, if you get the chance to test drive an ID.4, do a U-turn. It is bizarre. It feels freaky.
I don't think I have to. I owned a Volvo 940 wagon, which is like 197 inches in length. It's a long thing. And the thing could do pinpoint turns anywhere you want. You could be on the skinniest street in San Francisco, and it could just do a U-turn. It was fantastic.
It was trippy.
But yeah, it'd be nice to have that in an electric vehicle. I was letting my friend test drive the Y the other day because she's never been in an electric car. And so, or actually, no, she was in a Model 3, but it was like brief or whatever. Anyways, got to test drive that, and she was loving it. And I went to go make a U-turn on the street. I'm like, the turning could be better. And she's like, honestly, I didn't think you were going to make it at all. I'm like, oh, well, cool.
Clearly, you haven't seen the ID.4.
It's pretty eye-catching, too. I like the exterior. I asked my wife after we filmed it and everything, I was like, so how did you feel about the ID.4 versus a Tesla? And she was like, it's pretty close. She was she was saying, like, considering it's, at this point, standard range Model Y no longer available, Elon clickbaited everyone with the off menu tweet. So now there's a bunch of people saying, oh, it's still off menu. It's like, call them. It doesn't work. They're like, what? You want what? Give me the standard range Y. Oh, we don't have that.
That doesn't exist.
But Elon tweeted.
But Elon said in a tweet that it exists, so it must exist. I guess the people who ordered one got one. And I actually saw a few comments on Teslarati and Electric of people who ordered a standard range 7-seater Y and never received it. And then 3 months in, Tesla basically contacted them and said, just get a long range. They were like,
wow.
They were like, you want the long range. And everyone was like, no, I don't. That's why I ordered the standard range. And they were like, no, you want a long range.
You want a
So
long
they were basically
range.
told to either cancel the order or opt for the long range and pay extra. So that sucks. And the fact that the ID.4 is basically sitting right where that standard range Y was, and the EPA range of it is 260. So it was exceeding the range of the standard range Y, which was in that same price point. And that doesn't even consider the fact that the ID.4 still qualifies for the federal tax credit. And you can get, the owner I talked to said he got 30% off of level 2 installation charger in his garage.
That's nice.
That's a good sum.
A killer deal considering with the tax credit being $7,500 and some of the California rebates. He said he got like 11 grand off.
Nice.
On top of the pretty affordable price point already. So I'm like, the term you got to remember with the ID.4 is value. It's not that it's trying to be better than the Model Y. It's just trying to be cheaper, which I appreciate and I applaud them for. I think they did a good job, and hopefully they can iron out the software and the charging network, which is definitely buggy. And Electrify America, at least from the videos I've seen, it feels like they made it intentionally annoying because it was like a settlement of the lawsuit that they had to build out the charge network, and they were like, fine, we'll make a charger network. There it is. So they got some software things to learn, but hardware wise,
I was talking to
thoroughly impressed.
One of my fellow colleagues at the job that I work at, and he has an ID.4. He was
nice
amongst the first group who got the ID.4s over here in the Bay, and he had a very great comparison that he and I were talking about yesterday in regards to how these electric vehicles kind of fit into certain genres and sections of the SUV class, right? He was saying kind of the history of SUVs, right? You kind of had the Toyotas and the Hondas and the Fords kind of making their things that are a little bit more rugged and a little bit more, I don't know, SUV-ish in a way. But then you had like Audi and Porsche and I forget the other one that he mentioned. They were making a little bit more higher class but more performance-based SUVs, a little bit more sporty, bigger S in the SUV acronym, where the Tesla definitely kind of fits into that bracket, right? kind of compares. It's very much compared to vehicles like the Audi or the Porsche, or anything that's very performance based, because Tesla's base chassis is very performance focused.
Sure.
And then if you're thinking about like the Mustang, it kind of fits in there. It's kind of on borderline because it's got the lowest ride height compared to all the three. You've got the ID.4 with the highest ride height, Tesla in the middle, and the Mach-E being the lowest. But the ID.4 kind of fits more into the Ford, Toyota, Jeep kind of SUV, not like lifestyle, but in terms of like, I forget the specific qualities that I mentioned, but just the idea that it's not just the whole entire domain of SUVs that you're kind of comparing this ID.4 and this Tesla and the Volvos and the Toyotas all against each other. In a way you can, but it's more of these little niche categories inside the SUV umbrella that these vehicles kind of dominate in, or at least they kind of reign supreme over certain sections, where it's maybe a little bit unfair to compare an ID.4 to a Tesla when the ID.4 isn't really aiming at the Tesla necessarily, even though, like you said, Drew, it's definitely eating the lunch of it in terms of the low end price of the standard range Y that doesn't exist. But it's definitely helping people convert over to EV, where it's very much similar with all the buttons and all the knobs and all the nice quirks and features that, I guess I'm quoting Doug here, nice quirks and features that they have. That
the Volkswagen
ID.4.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're right. I think that Tesla cannot do this whole transition alone, right? I know that's what a lot of the Tesla fan base is assuming, that by 2030 all other automakers will be gone and Tesla will be the only company making cars.
It's
and
unprofitable.
Everybody will be bankrupt except Tesla. But the truth is, the ID.4 was perfect for someone, like my fourth grade teacher, who's like, they're used to driving cars a certain way their whole life. They have a much more traditional design and interior style that they're comfortable with growing up, that if they get inside a Tesla, because he said he'd been in several, he had several friends with 3s and Ys even, and it can be kind of overbearing to go all in on that display and all in on software. Now, personally, I don't care. I love that. I think just seeing the Cybertruck in Giga Texas and the updated pictures of the interior,
sure, we'll get there.
I was looking at those in broad daylight, and I was just like, that's the best interior I've ever seen. It's so gorgeous. It's so clean. There's nothing in there. There's no gear stocks. There's no buttons. It's just
the yoke.
Just big old center screen, little yoke there, and that's it. It's like the most minimalistic thing. I love that. But I completely understand and relate that I am not most people, and most people probably want something that's a bit more standard.
Most people are probably wrong. I know. Yeah, it's a problem that us enlightened people have to deal with.
They have a different opinion.
No, they're wrong.
They have a different opinion, which means they are wrong because my opinion is correct.
Yes,
I understand.
But I wrote on Wikipedia, my opinions are always correct. So according to Wikipedia, my opinions are correct.
Right. Exactly. And my parents would probably fall in that same demographic, as they would be looking at this display. It's I have to take my eyes off the road and whatever to interact with certain things, and they want more buttons, they want more mechanical side of things, and to have options there is great. So I honestly think the ID.4 might be really great Model 3 competition if you think about it in that regard. Like still it's a crossover, so it's probably going to have more space and practicality than a Model 3, but with the federal tax credit, it's technically cheaper than the standard range plus, and it has about the same range, 260. And some people might compromise on in all the pros and cons, but it's not a Tesla. You can take that in two different ways. You can take that as it's not a Tesla, so I can expect build quality to be a tad better, or I can expect a more traditional interior, and I can have buttons, and I can have the speedometer right behind the steering wheel where I like it. But it's also not going to have Tesla Theater. It's not going to play games. It's not going to have fart mode. It's not going to have Sentry mode. There's all these
important
handful of key points. I went with the Model 3 because it still had fart mode. So there's all these like perks in toy box features that the Tesla has that kind of makes it unique. And there's also a large demographic of car buyers that are like, I don't care about all that fancy toy crap. I just want a car, and I want the car to work, and I want it to be practical. And in many regards, the ID.4 could be argued as cheaper than the Model 3 and more practical. You just have to put up with Electrify America and the software, which I do think will get better with time. But like that in itself, I think is a really interesting argument between right now the Model 3 is 38,000 and this is more like 32 after incentives. So it's a bigger market, affordable entry, still a really nice feeling car. The vehicle felt amazing.
A lot more utility.
I felt right, a lot more than a little sedan. So
I just can't get over the sunshade. Like, the sunshade is probably the best feature of that car, in my opinion. Turning radius is cool.
So?
You really like that?
I think you need to send my why, Nick.
I was shocked when you clicked that button.
Did you not know it had that?
I did not know that it had that. I was just like...
And it's not even a button. It's a trackpad.
It's like, you just swipe
it's really weird.
You just slide.
It's like, interaction, right? It's really strange. Like, why did VW kind of choose that? Is my
I'm all for
theory.
It. That was awesome.
Like,
I don't know, the action of the swipe, like as it swipes the direction, it felt very intuitive in that way. I liked it. Also, I encourage something else for people to check out is the haptic buttons on the steering wheel.
That I like.
That was really trippy. When I started toying around with it, I started pushing it, and I thought it was clicking, and it wasn't.
Nice.
It felt like
an
a physical
Apple trackpad?
It's basically the same, like a trackpad on a MacBook or a home button on a iPhone SE or 7 or 8. It was like, and it was making the haptics, and I was like, whoa, I kind of like that. It's like, it's not a touch interface, but at the same time it kind of is. And in the future, hopefully that could even be a software thing if you want it to just be a touch and hold. And there were some people complaining about the rear window settings, how there's only 2 buttons and then you just hold the rear. I thought that was genius. I was like, they can use less parts. That almost sounds like something Tesla would do. Is like, instead of having 4 switches, you just have 2, and then you have a rear button when you want to adjust the rear windows. Some people didn't like that, but I was like, that feels like a simplicity thing. You can just rear, front, and there's not a bunch of extra buttons on the side there. I don't.
Can you probably miss the days that they can use 4 fingers and hit all the switches at the same time?
I've done that before. I do that quite frequently.
I've done that a few times,
especially in the
when
summertime.
There's a bug in the car.
When it's like nice, and I'm like, I just kind of want to go on a Saturday afternoon cruise, and I just want to roll all the windows down. It is kind of nice to be able to use 4 fingers and push all of the buttons down at the same time.
That's true.
And pull
maybe
all
if you
of them
hold the
back
rear button.
Yeah, I know. So they could pretty easily do
hold
that.
the rear button
if
and hold 2.
Yeah, if they had those buttons, if you click them like twice or like all the way or something, they just all roll down, like a complete roll all the way down. Yeah, you could click the 2 all the way down and then click rear and push those again. And I feel like that would still be pretty convenient. To get all the windows down as soon as possible. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty... I knew nothing about the car until Drew was sitting in it, and I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't look bad. I mean, it could be worse. It's no Cybertruck.
It could be worse. No,
it's no Cybertruck.
I think VW hit it out of the park with this product. I wish, I don't know, people were more excited about it in the Tesla community, because it's a great response to what Tesla has put the question out there for, right? They're like, hey, here's an electric vehicle, make something better. And VW's like, well, we can't make something amazing in terms of performance and like range, but we can definitely give you quality in terms of manufacturing and all these features that we can jam into it for a lower price.
And what I applaud about both the ID.4 and the reason I'm a big fan of Rivian is that they're directly looking at how they can be different from Tesla. They look at what's present on the market, and they're like, okay, some people like that, but some people don't. Now let's go for the market of people who don't like a lot of those software, everything on the screen choices. And some people like the glass roof, but they also want to cover it up when they feel like it. And having that option and kind of flexing on the, okay, our seats can, massage you as you're driving, or you've still got the display behind the steering wheel, which a lot of people like. And also the sound it makes when you're under 20 miles an hour is really satisfying. It's like this choir orchestra sound.
Is it
he
as
just,
haunting
it's not
as
silent?
the Rivian van?
No, the the Rivian van sounded terrible. That one was like Jesus ascending. It sounded, it was too loud. This one was very subtle. Like, you could barely hear it. It didn't come through in the video. I was commenting on it in the video, and I was listening. I was like, it didn't show up. But that's what I like about it, is how subtle it is. It's a very, he described it as spacey. It's like a ominous, like, for the pedestrian safety laws. They have to make a certain amount of noise. So
I wonder what the Cybertruck one's going to be. Oh, wait, never mind. I already realized that people can upload their own.
It's going to be the Mad Max soundtrack. Yeah. The music I actually wouldn't mind that.
Me neither.
Upload that.
You could technically put in Brothers in Arms and get away with the soundtrack. The amazing thing about the Cybertruck reveal is how often I listen to that song. Like, that was one of my favorite pieces of soundtrack music that I listen to like all the time. And then when they unveiled it, it starts playing. I was like, I love that song. Anyway, I think you're right though that ID.4 is the classic example of why competition is a good thing. Like, it's the prime direction we need more automotive companies going in response to, like, okay, Tesla's up and coming, they're now taking over, they're selling all these great vehicles and they're scaling production really fast. How are we going to respond? By finding our own voice, finding our own demographic. And I feel like ID.4 deserves 10 times as much attention as a Lucid or a Taycan, which is like, or what's the one that came out? EQS. The Mercedes.
Mercedes. Yeah.
That gets so much attention in the EV space because it's like, wow, we have 400-mile range, or we have all these great premium features, and each seat has a dedicated microphone and digital assistant that remembers how you like your
and
butt
a
to feel.
Samsung tablet.
Yeah, it comes with a Galaxy Tab in the back, and it had some cool interior features, but I was like, okay, that doesn't change anything. That's just kind of like flexing tech for the sake of, we know how to make fancy car.
That's Mercedes.
That is that's Mercedes, but it's also like, that's a lot of Lucid's market right now. Is it's just like, we are luxury, we are premium, we are quality, and I'm like, all right, that's cool, but also what is that going to change for the EV market other than just we're expensive? Also, we're more expensive though. Hey, we're more expensive than that even. And it just keeps one-upping themselves, whereas ID.4 is like, oh, now people can get a really cool EV for a lower price. That's good. Keep doing that. I like that. So
cool. Well, it sounds like a very fun
Yeah.
product. I can't wait to test drive it at some point. Maybe I'll try this weekend. But
you should. We should. I'd love to check it out again if I could. It was fun. Yeah. You should too, Nick, if the dealer knows where the key is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm 0 for 1 on the dealers at the moment.
The best thing you can do is find a friend who has one. That's probably the best.
See, I talked to my 4th grade teacher just this morning, and she doesn't have an ID.4, so
just this morning.
Dang it!
What a coincidence!
I know. I just woke up. I was eating my bowl of cereal. And I'm like, it's my 4th grade teacher. What is she doing here?
Did you guys catch the EQS at all? Did you have thoughts on it?
I watched Marquis' video. And jeez, what a beast of a thing.
But hey, Mercedes is going all out on luxury, so that's how you know it's going to be a good selling car.
Lucid's got their they need to step it up if they need to go against this thing, but I don't know the price of this thing, the EQS.
$900,000.
I'm guessing it's not good if they're not telling us.
The thing looks so uninspired. It's like, oh, I know how to do a 2-tone paint job. We have the black top and then the silver bottom, and it's gonna look new. Oh,
that's what I was saying. Is the shape of the vehicle does not scream luxury. No, it looks like
a Camry.
Or it looks like a $30,000 car.
The original front bumper of it in the renderings looked amazing, and then when they showed off recently the actual bumper that's going to production, I'm like, This looks
my God.
worse. Like, add more like of that weird plastic plating on the front that most EVs do, like the Audis and the BMWs with the weird beaver kidney face or whatever. Like, who cares? But like, at least it'll look nice and sleek on this thing. Instead, it's got some weird body wrapping bar on. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the design language that Mercedes is trying to evoke with this EV that is probably going to be around $200,000 with all the tech that they're throwing into it.
Man,
it better not be.
Yeah, I have to agree. I've seen a lot of people as well looking at it thinking, ooh, this is the classic example of the production model not reaching the concept in like such a drastic way
not
too.
reaching the production model.
Or the other way.
No,
dollar
other
per
way
price.
around. The other way around.
Price per dollar. The concept look was someone posted in the Discord the other day, and I was like, oh, that was the concept? That looks great. That looks so futuristic and clean and modern. I was like, wow, I love that concept design. And then now looking at the unveiled design, I was like, I'm sure there's some aerodynamic benefit, but man,
really?
Nope.
It was just the bean
Like
counters in the
there's
back.
no-
They were like,
I mean-
no, we can't have that kind of injection molding on our bumper. Here, pick one of these already made bumpers.
It's a
and
plastic
make it
plate.
work."
Tesla did it with their first car or second car. They added a giant.
the original.
Yeah, the original Model S, which, dang, sorry, I guess side tangent. I saw a few like very early build Model Ys or not Model Ys, Model S's recently. Like you can
You
tell.
have an early.
Yeah, you have
I
one
do
of those,
have an early
Mike.
build Model Y. But yeah, I saw some early build Model S's like basically off the production line the first few months. It looked
Yeah.
like it, and man, the Model S has gone a long way in terms of what it used to be, from both render to initial production to right before the facelift to the facelift to what it is now. Amazing. I just hope that maybe
Is it the oldest electric car that's like still in production? Or is there?
I feel like the Model
with the
T
Bolt?
might have been there in terms of like if you're talking about duration.
No,
Like-
No, I mean
electric.
like that's still in production to this day
For electric cars,
for electric.
maybe.
When did the Bolt come
I think
out?
the Nissan Leaf might have beat it. When did the Leaf
Yeah.
come out?
Is it
I think
is
the
it still
Leaf's
made
there.
today?
I mean, it's
Yeah, you
changed
can
over
still
time.
buy a
but
new
yeah.
Leaf.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a whole bunch of Leafs everywhere, all over my property.
A buddy of mine bought an old one that he's converting into a electric race car.
Yeah,
Which I'm
so
excited to
2008
mess
is
around
when the Leaf first was introduced.
It says production 2010. Okay, so that's
Well,
longer than the S,
Yeah.
I guess.
so the Leaf beats it. The Leaf, that old Leaf, the 2008 through 2010 Leaf is so ugly. It looks like a frog.
It got better, Nick.
Wow.
It got better. I got to see
No,
it.
I'm having
when-
PTSD just looking at these pictures.
old one. Yeah.
Ugh.
I got to see the new one
I
like
thought that was cool at one point.
when it was around the time that it was unveiled. They brought it to the Bay Area and I got to look at it. I'm like, wow, wait, what is this vehicle that Nissan's come out with? And I look at the placket right next to it. It's like, oh, this is a Leaf. This is a lot better than what it was.
It's okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm like,
The new
It's
one
a
is
better
not
facelift.
terrible.
okay.
I'd say it looks better than the EQS,
Yes, a lot of things look
And the
better
old
which
than
is sad
EQS.
considering it's you could probably buy 10 Leafs for the price of the EQS.
but does it come with a Samsung Galaxy tablet thing?
I did like a lot of the interior features though. Marquez was going into that. There were some cool ones. You can change the. Did you catch the video, Nick?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, I know you haven't been watching Marquez as much lately, but this is something I thought Nick in particular would appreciate.
Uh-oh.
To adjust the side view mirrors, to decipher between the left and right, you just look at them.
It's got a little camera staring at you.
That's creepy.
You look at
I'm
the
sorry,
left
that's
mirror,
creepy.
and then
I
you
don't
adjust
want that.
it.
That's creepy.
Well, they have
That's
a
creepy.
manual thing that you can press the buttons to. if
No,
you're
that's
too
that. I don't
scared
want
about
some
that.
camera watching me all day long. No, thank
Oh, there's
you.
cameras everywhere in it.
Well, Teslas do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stared at every
Unless you're
day.
in China.
I'm being stared at all
In
the
China,
time.
they definitely do not use that camera.
My insurance is staring at me all the time, making sure that I'm driving
Your
safe.
insurance. is just
Actually,
always
as
watching
I was explaining it to Nick, I realized he was probably going to say, "I don't want side view mirror."
you. That's so true. I don't even want them. I want the Cybertruck.
I liked that intuitiveness though, of just like looking at it and then you adjust it and look over there and you adjust it. I was like, that's genius. I want Teslas to do that. I would be down. If you're gonna have mirrors, let me adjust them with my eyes. Actually, take it a step further. I don't want to move the mirror with a little joystick. I want it to figure out the optimum viewing position automatically by looking at the
There's a camera
direct
in the
angle.
mirror staring at you, staring at the mirrors.
It can see precisely where your eyes are looking and then adjust just based on how you're sitting. And what were some other cool interior features?
Just add cameras.
So
That's
this all just really makes me worried about the Cybertruck.
So Nick, why are you worried
I
about the
know.
Cybertruck this week?
Wait. I remembered something Nick would appreciate.
No.
I remembered.
It's like it's a pitcher of water that's being overflown by. I just need to pour this out.
I need to let it out. So the lights, the interior lights that you can adjust, because Nick likes lighting, right?
Nice.
Nick is a big lighting guy. You can adjust the cone shape of the interior lights per passenger.
And change the warmth
So
of
if you want the light to be more narrow and specify one specific part of like where you're holding a book, you can adjust it to be wider, and the intensity of the light, all of that is adjustable.
That's
The cones,
it's
Nick.
an interesting idea, but you know what vehicle doesn't have cones? The Cybertruck. The Cybertruck.
cones.
The cones have done China. The cones have done China. I want to be the Ledgerman.
No, that's my car when I go past construction. The cones.
The cones.
All over the display. All right, Nick.
Oh, wow.
Why are you worried about the Cybertruck?
Man, guys, we got some crispy looking pictures. I was so happy last night. You know how we've been begging for just a glimpse of the Cybertruck and a new angle and maybe a new, just it in the shop with like all the lights off, just barely able to make out the outlet. I just want more about the Cybertruck. And what do we see? It's in broad daylight in the middle of Austin, Texas. That is the biggest reason why I'd ever moved to Austin, Texas, is just to see the Cybertruck.
To make a meme Mike would appreciate. This is exactly what I wanted.
So
Marvel
That's ultra.
meme.
yeah, what was Elon doing down there? Elon brought his toys down to Austin.
We were just like, do something with the Cybertruck. I don't care what it is. Just like post about it, brag about it,
Give us
show it
news.
driving off road. Just give us anything. Just tweet a few pictures, and that's exactly what we got. In fact, it exceeded expectations because they brought it to the Cybertruck homeland of Giga Texas, and they have it in the mud, and it's dirty, and it's not
And it looks so
in
nice.
some weird lighting. It's not in some darkness with a spotlight beneath it. No, it's like out in the wild. Do you guys see the video of it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Someone caught video. It's on the Tesla Motors Instagram account of it just driving around and just seeing it drive around in the dirt.
It's so futuristic.
And I found a few other pictures that some construction workers took on Twitter this morning. Man, just in every scenario and all lighting, it looks so gorgeous, and it's covered in mud too.
I'm surprised how late the pictures came though, because it was like
I
dark
know.
over here
Okay.
in California, and then we look at these photos and it's all light. I'm like, why did no one like send these pictures out immediately?
I was really curious
I know.
about that. Like, what was this event for? Why was Elon getting up on stage showing off his quarantine 25? And why was he?
guy.
Why? I know. I felt so bad for him because I also
I'm right there
have my
with him.
quarantine 25. But I was like, what is this event for? Why did we not know about this? How did I not know about this? Why is there a Cybertruck here? Oh my
Why
gosh!
am I not here? Yeah.
His plaid S was there too. Did you catch that?
I didn't see that either. No. Did he
Black.
just have his
Someone,
cars like trucked out, or did they get on?
He had
the
a
airplane?
black plaid Model S that he showed up in. It was getting dirty too, which didn't look as graceful.
He's probably
Cybertruck looks
testing
like
it
it's
right now.
Oh yeah. Well, I think my guess is employee deliveries of the S have begun because I still see so many sightings all
They're
the time.
I see them all over at Tesla HQ when I drive by. They're
That's
everywhere.
right. You were the one telling me. You've seen a few
They're all
of the
over.
refresh.
Like, that's what I'm doing this weekend. I'm basically gonna have a picnic, and like how you sent me a link, and I can't see it because the phone.
Basically, it's some new pictures that I hadn't seen last night of the Cybertruck, and someone got a shot from kind of the back right side, and they caught the all the mud is sitting on the fender, and it's got like dust.
It's perfect. As much as I always thought the Cybertruck would look good in the dirt, it looks much better than I thought. It looks
everything I dreamed.
It's even more than I ever dreamed. Like even the dirt inside of the parts of the wheel. What are those called? No, like in the
the wheel hub. No,
not inside the wheel hub. Inside the grooves of the wheel.
The tread.
Tread. Thank you. It looks so perfect. And then someone wiped their fingers on the stainless steel that had some dust on it, and it just looks so raw and so real. And I'm just like, I want this thing so bad. It's perfect.
I can't believe we're having a podcast about fingerprints.
Hey, we are desperate for news, folks. We are desperate for news. This is what the podcast has become.
To be fair, my wife, when I sent her these photos, she's like. She was outside doing something or whatever. She ran inside and she's like, "Where did you find these photos?
Where did you find these?" I know.
It's in Texas.
I know there's already YouTubers who have made videos about it, but I was just like, I want to do a video, but I don't even know what to say. I basically just say like, these look great. Look at these pictures. Look at it. Look at it.
Look harder.
Because that's what I was doing last night. I kept looking at all the Twitter pictures, and I was just like, I was just staring. I was like, that's so cool.
It looks so fake in some of the photos. Yeah, it's so.
You're right.
Not fake, because you could tell, like Nick was saying, there's fingerprint marks everywhere.
There's dust dust everywhere, like even on the floorboards in the passenger seat. Like there's dust and dirt and footprints in it, and it just looks so
a nice move.
Real.
I think it's a nice move by Tesla to bring it to the construction workers who are working tirelessly every day, like making record-breaking goals every month on production of this whole entire facility, and they get a nice little treat of this Cybertruck coming to basically just say hello.
It kind of makes me want to work at the Cybertruck factory in Austin.
How can I get employed at that factory now?
Media relations,
I want to see
finances.
No, or just building it with the welder. I would do that too. Elon, hire me.
Do something so we could like screw on a little screw on the assembly line.
And then I could say I touched every Cybertruck. That would be kind of cool.
Every Cybertruck.
They're just like, your shift is over, Nick. And I'm like, no, it's not. I haven't touched every Cybertruck.
Like, I have applauded Rivian so much for using the R1Ts all over the place. Did you guys catch the R1Ts?
I was about to say, they're in, was that Nevada or Arizona or Texas? I forget where they launched the new Shepherd.
Where is Blue Origin?
Blue Origin, I think, is in Arizona.
Thank you, Mr.
I don't know
Space
that.
Podcast Man.
I guess. Someone correct me in the comments.
Space Podcast Man. Thank you. I think, I saw a few Rivians, a couple out there when they were checking in on the capsule. What was that rocket? Is it New Shepard?
It's the NS-15 mission. It is a New Shepard vehicle.
New Glenn's the big one.
What? Yeah. New Glenn is going to be bigger.
New Glenn is big chunk rocket.
New Armstrong is going to be even bigger if you can guess where that one's headed.
New Armstrong? What?
Mm-hmm. Mars.
No.
Jupiter.
Yeah, Jupiter. We'll go with that.
Yeah, but they're finally launching astronauts, which is going to be cool. Anyways, back to the Rivian or the Cybertruck.
Yeah, they used the Rivian out in the dirt and out in the field as they were, and I was like, they need to take the Cybertruck and just use it. Actually, I think I made a tweet like the day before Cybertruck showed up in Texas because they were using the Rivians out at Blue Origin, and I said something like, bring the Cybertruck out to Boca Chica and just let it like drive around, go to the pad to check stuff out.
Everyday Astronaut was also begging for that. Like we all want a picture of the Cybertruck with 2 starships. Like that's all I want out of life.
Oh,
could you imagine? Yes. That'll be my wallpaper forever. Like,
it's in Texas.
It is in Texas, just like 8 hours away.
Yeah, what is the next Starship? Is it 15 or 16 that's being rolled out? Or
15 is already rolled out. BN2 is in final stages of production, and
15 could get static fire by the time this goes
up. Definitely could get static fire.
So
there's a chance.
I
you're
want.
saying.
There's a chance. And the Cybertruck, I don't believe, even this prototype, I don't believe should stay in an R&D center somewhere. I don't even think it should stay in a museum. They need to be driving it, get it working. Let the construction workers use it. If they need to bring some equipment and tools, throw it in the bed.
The line
drive it around.
of people to drive that truck to haul stuff around the work site.
I got really excited. I was like, "Ooh, Jeff Roberts should get some helicopter footage of Giga Texas, and then you can just spot the little Cybertruck driving alongside
The little wedge.
the little wedge is rolling around the whole factory. Yeah, like get that thing out there, get it dirty, get it. I'm just so happy to see it finally collecting mud, and I'm glad that the beliefs that we've all had for the longest time that like you can't really make a Cybertruck look bad, honestly, like just through the elements. I mean, I'm sure someone could put eyelashes on it and wrap it pink, but I mean, I just mean when it comes to driving it around, taking it off road, I'm imagining it. It still looks good. Dang it!
No, it doesn't. It hurts. My head hurts.
Like even if you work with this thing, you probably wouldn't even want to wash it. You know,
I would not wash it very frequently. I would wash it as frequently as I wash my car now, which is maybe
like once a year.
Maybe 3 times a year. Maybe 3 times a year.
My wife just washed our Ram for the first time ever, and we've owned it for almost a year.
Almost a year. Yeah, we wash our car about once a year, to be honest.
Yeah. Not like I drive my car too much.
It doesn't go out much either. Yeah. But Cybertruck looks great in all lighting, in all.
Can you imagine it on Mars?
Cleanliness.
Oh.
On Mars.
It's much easier to imagine on Mars
With all
now.
the red mud.
Now it's in the red dirt.
No, I mean, all the renders, easy peasy, just crop, place.
Crop the people out,
Lighting.
put aliens in place, little green guys.
Should be a piece of cake.
It's going to be cool seeing that thing driving around next year. Like a whole bunch of them. Like not just one of them that we're clamoring for news about, or the one that's in LA that Elon keeps on teasing but doesn't show
That
any
is the one.
photos.
I think that is the one.
No, it's not. Well, no. Okay, so there's the one that's in Texas right now that is the Unveil Night one.
No, it's not.
Sorry, no. The one that's in Texas is the Unveil Night one because it's got the handles, it's got the original yoke, it's got the very sparse interior with no updates. It doesn't have the side view mirrors, but the one that I think that's been talking about on Twitter, the new one that he's like, oh hey, we've put side view mirrors on it and whatever. I think that's in LA right now.
I didn't hear him say that.
You don't think so? I'm pretty sure that there's one.
I don't
in LA
recall
right
him
now.
saying side view mirrors. I recall him saying the new one doesn't have door handles and that the center line is more leveled and the size is a little smaller. But
I would think they have a mock-up because they've finalized the design, which means they've probably
they did have a clay one at the unveiling. I don't know where that one went.
It's melted.
It's out there.
Probably someone accidentally touched it with their finger and it fell apart. Super durable. Or maybe Franz chucked a steel ball at it. Just shattered. Just the whole, not just the window, the whole car just shattered.
I'm sure there's likely several prototypes within R&D that
that's what I'm trying to say.
will never see the light of day. Yeah.
That there is
there's prototypes, I'm sure, but
I'm very confident that
production
there's
model
one in LA that is basically what the production model is going to be, just with a few minor tweaks.
That's what we need. That's what
I want.
Hopefully we can get in the
I'm
second
not
quarter
complaining.
as a
Like,
updated.
you guys can complain all you want about how you want other pictures. I am now happy for like the next month of just the pictures we got from yesterday. So,
Nick, I have to listen every day to my wife talk about how there's a yoke on the Cybertruck and there shouldn't be a yoke on the Cybertruck. I need to see this updated production model.
what, she doesn't want the yoke?
She hates the yoke.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. We can't be friends anymore. Wow. No
Nick
yoke?
is just like, no, she hates it.
Wow.
Despises it. She's like, hold on, wait.
It is a borderline deal breaker from what I've heard.
Yep. We might not.
But
She would give up the perfection of the Cybertruck because it has a yoke. Oh my
The only
gosh.
reason we would get one, or like the only possible reality that we would get one is if we could swap out the yoke for a traditional wheel, because that's what she likes.
What about the gear stocks?
The gear stocks.
Are those as crucial?
She doesn't care about the gear stocks. It
Okay,
could be
that's
a button.
good.
She can get used to that. She loves the Y and how sparse it is. She just
I don't
doesn't,
think it'll be a button.
she
but
just doesn't
probably-
want it to not have half of a steering wheel. She wants a whole wheel that she can grip
Yeah,
on.
a lot of people do. I
Like-
get that.
It makes sense for what we do with towing horses around, towing other trailers around, all the things that we put into the vehicle, the places that we go with it. It makes sense to have a wheel for us, but for those who want to use it more as a sport vehicle, go ahead.
I'm still confused what they're going to do, given we still can't get word from the NHTSA on whether or not the yoke in the S and X is legal. They still
It is.
made up their mind on it.
I don't care what they say. It is legal.
It is.
I will make it.
is.
I will make it legal.
Make
Nick,
it
it is
legal.
not.
They haven't said it's illegal.
But they haven't said it's
They just-
legal either.
They've literally said nothing. I mean, they made a statement saying that we are investigating it. At this time, it is not deemed as illegal or legal. It is just pending. They haven't decided. Several countries in Europe have decided it's legal, but it's not coming to Europe.
Then I'm
soon,
moving
so-
there.
Oh
You're
wow!
gonna get
Nick
it
is
late.
moving.
You're gonna get it
You'll
really
get your
late.
Cybertruck
And
real
you're not
late.
even gonna get the big one. You're gonna get the small one.
No, I'm gonna buy it
You're
in
gonna get the
Texas
Wolverine.
and move to that country. Ship it over there.
Isn't there like import like tariffs or something?
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Tariffs, but,
I need my Cybertruck
Actually,
with my yoke steering wheel. I don't care what your wife says, Mike. It needs to have a yoke.
The truck floats.
She's wrong.
So he should be able
This
to
is
drive
so
it across the
true!
Atlantic.
Just get an outboard motor, an
be a
electric
long
outboard
trip. I hope
motor,
it's
plug it into
Superchargers.
the outlet in the bed, and stand in the bed of the truck and just have it. There we go. No tariffs needed. Oh my gosh, I love this truck. I forgot it is waterproof. I forgot it floats.
They're gonna autonomously send like hundreds of Cybertrucks overseas just by like they drive in the ocean and keep going.
But only 250 miles.
just
or
like-
500.
There's like
You know-
fleets of them on the water.
The next project that Tesla should do is a cyber boat, because that doesn't seem like
That would be
a very
dope.
bad path for like a vehicle that isn't a automobile that they want to branch out with, but something that still kind of fits their design language, or at least something that people want a design language to be, which is cyber lifestyle. So just make a cyber boat. I'd buy that.
Cyber-
You
van.
might be joking, but the freighters are huge cause of emissions, giant ones.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm not talking
if
about like a
Tesla
freighter.
wanted to handle, I know you're not, but I'm saying
They
Those
also,
are-
tend to get stuck in certain canals that are, and
It happened
That's
one
true.
time,
Places.
Nick. It happened one time.
if they had crab mode like the Hummer,
No.
they
This
could've-
is so true. Someone needed to give the Evergreen a crab mode motor situation. Then she could have just
Road
crab moded
GMCs in
out.
it.
It needed tighter turning radius.
Yes.
We need the ID.4 of boats. We need.
It's like,
What does
this
that
ship
look
is
like?
400 feet long. The canal is 200 feet long, but yet somehow it can make a U-turn.
It's got
And it has
270
a-
miles of range.
and a sunroof
Into some,
that covers the whole boat.
all of the cargo.
Drew, have you been on a boat before? Well,
I
I'll tell
have
you,
actually.
there's not
couple.
typically any roofs.
Where we're going, we don't.
We don't need
roofs.
roofs.
Anyway, yes,
Wow, have we
I think we
spiraled
can
yet?
all agree. Cybertruck photos are fantastic, and we need more of
No.
them. If there's any construction workers out there listening, get a better phone, because a lot of these photos look terrible. They're compressed too much.
Totally.
I need more detail.
I am
Some-
satisfied here.
You're unsatisfied here.
Didn't you just say like 5 minutes ago you were happy for like a
I'm
month? and now
totally
you're
being
like,
facetious. Get better phones because it would be nice, but I am also still happy
Can a
with potato
construction
quality
worker
cameras.
Bring like a DSLR to the construction site or
Yes,
something.
bring a Sony.
I mean, Nick, you're kind of nearby. More
I
nearby
might.
than me and Drew.
I might need just need to
drive
make a
over
little
with your
30-hour
drone.
road trip down there.
This
drive
is a
with
great
your
idea.
binocular drone and drive over there and then fly.
I
your
could do
binocular
drone flights.
to-
Oh boy! Oh
and then
boy!
you can run
I
into
see
the
road trip.
Cybertruck.
You can find it. You can find it. It's pretty hard to miss, honestly.
I mean,
It's
apparently
the
we
most-
missed it being shipped all the way to Austin somehow. Like that wasn't.
I think it was in
It was probably like
it was in the trailer.
Yeah.
The same one that they had at the Peterson Museum.
Did
you see that footage?
Did that have windows?
It was covered. It was like a collapsible trailer, but it was covered, and then it unfolds, and then because if someone was towing around the Cybertruck on a trailer, it would have been seen. I think
totally.
It would catch even non-Tesla eyes. You know, it would show
They'd
up
be
on
like,
some
the
random
aliens are
account,
here.
Snapchat.
I mean, there's hundreds of photos of this one trailer that I've seen with my own eyes. Looks like a Cybertruck back with solar panels on it. It's being towed by like a Model 3 or some other car. And it's like, oh, look, it's a Cybertruck or a Cyber trailer or whatever. But yeah, I'm very surprised that no one knew about this in the community, assuming that everyone knows everything, like Sawyer Merritt, who's like, oh, semis, thousands of them. They're coming out now. How do you know this?
They're coming out now.
My source.
I hope he's right, but my source. I think it would have been smarter for them to just drive the Cybertruck do a road trip.
Finally
to
do the road trip that they promised like last year.
I don't know why they keep moving around with a trailer. What's the big deal?
So many
just
broken promises.
drive it. Just drive it around. Like supercharge it. Everybody at the supercharger will lose their mind.
Totally.
You know, if they were
totally.
imagine if you were parked at a supercharger and then just the truck pulled in and started charging, you'd be like, I have several questions. And
I have all
walk
the
up to it, everybody would be touching it and throwing stuff at it, you know. I was imagining like just the Cybertruck at the construction site, one of the construction workers looks down and he has like a hammer or something. He's like,
do it. And there's like a little angel and a little demon on his shoulder, and one's like, do it.
It's like little Franz.
Don't do it.
Little Franz
they
is
both
on his
say
shoulders.
do it. Both of them are like, do it.
Don't do it. Both of them are doing it.
Yeah, the angel and the devil's like, yes.
Do it. It must be done.
I still have a feeling, though, that people are going to baby their Cybertrucks.
Unfortunately, they probably will. Because,
I'm not going to go out of my way to
$80,000
destroy it. I'm paying like
I know,
tri-motor territory of money on this thing. I'm not going to subject it to all the
I'm
forces.
just saying ceramic coatings, wraps. People are going to... because it will collect scratches and scuffs. It's not like it'll dent, but there will be signs of wear. And I personally agree that it adds to the character of the truck. Let it collect scratches and scuffs. Let it, build its own story with the exoskeleton. But I know a bunch of people that are going to see those scratches and scuffs and just, they can't take it. They're like, it needs to look like it did when I first got it, and then buff it out or cover it in something, coat it, because there's just too many people that are proud of it or too encouraged by the wraps of the rest of the sexy lineup, wanting to make sure it's perfect. Is close. You spend a lot of money on a vehicle. You want it to look nice. I get that. And the first scratch is always going to be the most noticeable.
Yeah.
You won't be able to take your eyes off it.
The detailer that I've gone to for my Y said that there's multiple people who have reached out to him asking, hey, do you think you could wrap a Cybertruck? He's like,
really?
Well, it's probably going to be the easiest thing ever because there's not many curves, but it's going to be a lot of material. And they're like, we don't care.
That's true.
So he expects he's going to be wrapping a few.
Wow.
With a ceramic coating or just
maybe a paint
color?
protection film, most likely.
PPF, yeah. Okay.
And then maybe a color, because there's that huge outpouring of people who are just like, can I get it in matte black? Like, I guess.
Yeah,
it's going to get really hot.
It does sound cool in pictures, but I imagine it probably wouldn't age very well.
No. I mean, the only thing that we would probably do if we were going to wrap it is wrap the back of those seats, because they are really
that makes sense.
Prone to dirt or children's feet scuffing it up with all the dirt that's underneath their shoes. Dang kids. Raise your own dang kids, by the way. Coming 2022, I'm pretty sure, at this rate.
Wow.
Launching with FSD.
But yeah.
Speaking of...
Still haven't got
the button. You guys...
No, still no button.
Still no button. Still no subscription. Although Elon seems to say for sure next month for the subscription. Do you guys want to reiterate or restate your predictions on what the subscription will cost?
I kind of stopped predicting because we've been waiting for this for how long? And
FSD, I think, became a option to buy in 2016, 2017, October. October 2016.
So you saw the Snazzy Labs tweet as well.
I saw that, yeah. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's been 5 years.
What do you think of... I think he has a decent point. I think he might be taking it a little too hard on them, but that there is some truth to the fact that they've been selling a software package called Full Self-Driving for basically 5 years now. And there are definitely people that included it on their vehicle and paid for it in their lease and
never saw it,
had to trade in the car and never got the product. Like, do you think this is primarily a branding issue? Is it mainly just the name, or is there something, or is that
I think
not the problem?
Yeah, I would definitely say it has a lot to do with the naming of it. Naming something sets the expectations of the consumers. If I'm going to buy the iPhone Max, I'd assume that to be not the cheapest one, right? You know, if I'm going to... You have this expectation just around the name that they slap on a product. And back in 2014, 15, 16, whenever they announced Autopilot, the 1.0 one, that was Enhanced Autopilot. Was it just Enhanced Autopilot at the time? What did it start out as?
I thought back in the Model S they originally had just Autopilot.
I think it,
and that
yeah,
was
I think
the
it was
only
just
thing.
original. Yeah, so that was their first mistake there. That was their first mistake.
Then they did Enhanced.
They called it Autopilot. That was mistake number one, and that's haunted them this entire time. Because what they should be saving Autopilot for is like level 4 autonomy. That's Autopilot to me. Where you get in, it takes you wherever you want, you get out. That's Autopilot. Now, anything below that level 4 should have a different name that doesn't evoke, full self-driving. Full self-driving should be level 5. Full self-driving. You don't need to do anything.
How about half self-driving?
Half self-driving could be like level 3. Half self-driving.
Quarter self-driving.
I like that term.
So we just fixed it, Tesla. Just call it half self-driving. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Nick talk.
I'm sorry, Nick. I think couldn't stop myself.
Autopilot mainly is used with aircraft, and I think it's pretty close to how Tesla's feature works. Of like autopilot doesn't mean
that's
the
not
pilot
how the
can
public
go to the back of the
perceives
plane
it,
and fall
yeah,
asleep.
no, I agree. The aircraft autopilot works very similarly to how current autopilot works on a car, but.
Which is that's why I'm like, I don't care what the public thinks.
The public's
accurate.
wrong most of the time. Public is wrong.
Public's wrong. It's not
I
me
agree.
that's wrong. It's the public.
To me, that's the same as like Anchorman movie where they're like, the car's on cruise control. Now I can go to the bathroom and the thing drives off the road. I don't take much issue with the name Autopilot. I think that's fine, but I think your argument holds a lot more weight with full self-driving. It's not just self-driving. They intentionally put the word full in the software package, and now they've been selling it for 5 years. I think where Quinn probably doesn't give them credit is that I don't believe Tesla was lying about whether or not they thought they could achieve self-driving by a certain time. I genuinely believe they thought they would have it earlier. All the timelines Elon laid out and said, this will probably be done by end of next year, and he keeps pushing it, I know. But I don't think that he was saying that just so people would necessarily buy it today. He probably genuinely thought it would be ready by that point. A lot of the Model 3 design was specifically made because they felt like they weren't going to need a steering wheel much longer.
Yeah.
So why have all these extra knobs and extra displays if in the future these cars are going to drive themselves? So they went as far as to incorporate it into the hardware of like, let's get ready for autonomous future. And then it just ended up being a lot more complicated than they thought. But I don't think we should necessarily punish a company for being overly ambitious with what they thought they could achieve. That's different from fraud when you know you can't achieve something and you state otherwise. That's more of the this is not a pusher. This is a real truck. See, I touched the touchscreen, it works. And for a fact it's a pusher. That's different from we're experimenting with self-driving right now. We're seeing promising results. We think we'll be done in about a year and a half. And then you're not done in a year and a half. That's just like we're bad at timelines. That's different from fraud. So
do you think it's a transparency issue then? That they're just being so transparent with progress? Like every single month it's like, oh, here's another update. Because you don't see Ford kind of going out there and being like, hey, look at our engineers working on this thing at the computer. What are you doing, Bob?
I think there is something to be said about setting deadlines for yourself pushes the engineering team and the software team to want to work harder if they know they have certain goals. And if they just said, we don't know, could take 10 years for us to figure this out, there's not going to be much urgency or much between the software and hardware team. They're not going to be all thinking, well, we don't need to figure this out. We got 10 years. Whereas if you're pushing yourself with internal deadlines, whether, it's debatable whether or not they should come forward to the public and say, hey, by the way, this is our deadline. Maybe they should just keep that internal. But I think the main issue with this argument is they shouldn't have sold the package as full self-driving. I think that enhanced autopilot makes way more sense. Just say like autopilot, which is just lane guidance and adaptive cruise control, that's included. All right, everybody gets that no matter what Tesla you buy. But then also, I don't even care if it's enhanced autopilot or autopilot plus or autopilot premium, call it whatever you want. Just have an additional package that says this will get you everything we can do. And you can list all of its features, navigate on autopilot, smart sum and auto park, and the we're calling it FSD beta because that's what a lot of YouTubers are using. But I already found that naming confusing because they're calling it FSD beta. It's like, but we've been selling FSD for years. So if everybody else bought FSD, why are we just now calling it FSD beta? It's like, oh, because it's doing turning now. It's like,
it turns.
Yeah.
It does turns. But yeah, I feel like, well, if that's considered full self-driving beta, why were we calling it full self-driving all these years if all it was doing was navigating on autopilot and smart summon and that kind of thing? It shouldn't be branded as FSD, in my opinion. I think that's the issue, because if Tesla were advertising just a more autonomous driving package, not saying, hey, one day later this year the car will completely drive itself and you won't need to do anything, that's probably too ambitious, and they've proven year over year they can't really do that in any type of near-term future. But they can make more autonomous features, and selling those for an extra software purchase I think is totally fine, and wanting to make sure you can profit off of those software features you roll out is perfectly acceptable. It makes a lot of sense. It's not free for Tesla to come up with all these features and develop the neural net and develop the software and run it on their machine learning algorithms and make it better over time. That's not something I think that would even be fair to just say, included in all the cars for free. It's just a perk of the sale. They'd probably lose way too much money. So I totally get wanting to sell it, and I don't even think it's overpriced for what you get. There's really nothing else on the market that's going to offer something similar to full self-driving. It's expensive. I wouldn't buy it outright myself just because it's a lot of money, but I wouldn't use the term overpriced because I don't think there's something cheaper that does the same thing. So to me, it's complete branding issue. That's what it all comes down to.
That's very fair.
But Mike bought it.
I bought it.
How much did you get it?
How much did I get it for? I
forget.
For I think 7. I think it was 7.
Wow.
Because it was 6 right before the Model Y.
Yep.
Like a few months before, I think. And then when they announced the Model Y, I think it changed. Or maybe it was, I need to look at the timeline again because they unveiled it in March.
I think it was 6 at first.
Yeah, I think it was maybe 6 at first, unveiling March 2019. But then they, of course, I think it was in November or December, they decreased the pricing because they made autopilot a included feature instead of buying it.
Right.
I think that's maybe when they changed the price. And then they did the whole entire RIM and availability refresh in January of 2020. And then that was a headache. That was a big headache. I hated that day. A lot of people were really excited. I was annoyed. So
why?
Because I guess it was my wife and I had a very specific picture of what our car was going to be because we were waiting for it for like, I mean, we weren't waiting as long as basically the whole Tesla community, right? Because Model S owners had to wait forever. X owners had to wait a very long time. 3 owners had to wait a bit. But for like the Y owners, only took like a year to get the product out from unveiling. But it was more of just like, okay, we're going to get these Aero rims. It's going to be the rear-wheel drive variant. We're going to get pretty good range, and like this is a comfortable price that we're paying. And then they kind of switch up the pricing. They switch up the rims. They switch up what options are available. And we're like, this is not the vehicle that we wanted. So it was just like a phone call between me and my wife. I was at school at the time. She was at home. I'm like, hey, Tesla kind of screwed us over. She's like, what? I'm like, hold on, let me explain. We have to make a decision.
Changed
again.
everything.
Yeah. So
I predict something similar next January with the Cybertruck.
I agree. I mean, I could see it in December or November if they start actually doing the configuration thing, because they changed it up for the Y like a month, I guess, before things start being made. So they started being made in February, or at least my car was made in February. But
there were a lot of sightings, though, prior.
Yeah.
Of, like, test models and employees driving them around and
Different
stuff. So they were, like,
them.
out and about. Yeah. And then that's when a lot of the speculation was growing that Model Y would be ahead of schedule and that it was going to come out early and people weren't sure when. But then, then they had the big... Wasn't it right before the earnings call that they refreshed the the Y?
That was the annoying thing, because they had it was right before the earnings call. They refreshed the order page.
Yes.
Had to make that update to the accounts. That way we could get our car by the time that we needed it. Still didn't get that car.
Yeah.
We got a different car because of the pandemic. And then listening
and
to
also single motor long range.
Yeah.
Wasn't that your original reservation?
That was the original reservation. We still don't have rear-wheel drive. We've got the long-range all-wheel drive, which we love now.
Never happened.
We love this car. We could not love it more. We've had it for a year. Fantastic car. Couldn't say anything bad about it besides the stupid tailgate that has been annoying for 370 days now.
Oh.
Wow.
But
who's counting?
hopefully it's fixed finally. But yeah, I'm very worried about the Model Y.
Oh, you stole my tagline! I cannot believe
you took it around.
You just.
Well,
I'm not
he
worried at all.
Wouldn't be the first to steal it.
They're everywhere now. They're every single car. Like every corner of the Bay Area, there's a Model Y. I'm just like, how is there a Model Y here?
I predict the website to be updated probably around January, just because I think Q4 for Tesla is going to be more about Model Y ramp and 4680 ramp. I think it's going to be between Texas and Berlin, getting those batteries and getting those vehicles out, and there's not going to be too much of an emphasis on Cybertruck until probably Q1, because that's seasonably weaker for the other vehicles, so they'll have a little give to spare some 4680s for Cybertruck, and probably right before the Q4 earnings call, that's when the Cybertruck website will get updated with production model, more of a configurator, and maybe some different rims that they end up... I don't know if these rims are going to be production. They usually aren't. Pretty much every Tesla that gets unveiled comes with different rims than the prototype. So Model 3 eventually got those rims, but it took like 3-4 years or something.
If you're going with the trend with Model Y and Model S, then yeah, I could see that. But Tesla isn't really... They've been known to not really follow their traditions as much as kind of Apple has, except for recently with their announcement of products and events. But I could see a reality where that happens. I have a very good question, though.
Ooh.
Texas is making the 4680 Model Y.
Correct.
Okay.
Is Fremont going to be making 4680 Model Ys?
I don't think at first.
Because then there's the question of what do you display on the website for people in America buying a Model Y? Because if they live in, let's just say, New Jersey, do they get a different order page than people who live in California?
I think we talked about this before. Have we not? Or have I talked about this with someone else? I can't remember.
I think we've talked
Maybe
about
it was
this.
in Discord. My prediction was that because 4680s are going to be low volume at first, they're just going to incorporate them into the most expensive tiers first and then work their way down. So the 4680 Model Y, when it's ready at Texas, is just going to replace the performance Model Y that they build at Fremont. So the best of the best, best motors, best brakes, no 7-seater option, just the performance model. It's going to be like insanely fast. Probably because of the 4680s, they could shave off a couple tenths of a second off the 0 to 60. Insanely fast. And now it's not just the performance Model Y, it's like the best Model Y because it's going to have the best range and the best performance, but it'll be pricey. It's a $60,000 car, but it'll still go 350 or 400 miles on a charge. And there might even be a temporary price jump there. It made up 64,000. And they start with the performance model, and then all the 2170 cells that they still have coming from Nevada are going to be building just the regular long-range Model Y. And maybe around that time they could bring back the standard range Model Y because they'll have some more 2170 cells available. And they just do the performance Model Ys with the 4680s at first. Thick profit margins, very profitable, expensive vehicle, but just best Model Y in every metric. It's awesome. And then if they can ramp up the 4680s enough at Texas, then they'll bring it to the normal all-wheel drive Model Y that Mike has currently, and then just reserve Fremont for standard range Model Y, or at least that could hold them over until Fremont is able to produce enough 4680s to make the same type of Model Y. Or they could shut down the factory line for a while, retrofit it to be more like Giga Texas, and I just see them going from the top down. I don't see them making two. I could be wrong, but I don't see them making two different versions of the same trim, where you have a dual motor long range with 326 miles of range, and then you have another one with 400 miles of range, and it just depends on which factory you get it from. Like, that sounds way too confusing. I just see them being like,
do you have a California
best
Model Y,
and then,
or do you have a Texas Model Y?
And everybody would be going out to Texas to get their
Yeah,
Tesla and drive it back.
that's what I'm trying to get, or that's what at least we're aiming for with my mom. Is she's been a Subaru person her whole life, and she's finally realized, okay, I don't need to have a Subaru anymore. Yes, I want an electric vehicle.
Good job, Mike.
Yeah, my cousin actually is very interested in getting a Model Y as well. So and he doesn't live far from me. He lives just a few minutes away. So I was talking to him about it, and I was like, so are you considering any other EVs? Or he was like, no, I need that Model Y. I was like, yeah, they're awesome. He got really interested when the standard range came out. He was like, oh, that's perfect. 40K. Okay, that's pretty good. And then now he was asking me about the tax credits. He was like, so should I wait for those? And he's not in a huge hurry because he just built his new house, and they want to get solar too, and they set up their garage with a charger and everything. So they're planning on their next vehicle being a Tesla, but they're just not sure when. And I said, well, if you're not in a hurry, you might want to wait for the 4680s, just because their current car is working fine and they don't have any issues with it. They just prefer electric if possible. And I was like, if 4680s are coming out and we could at least figure out, because I'm speculating, I don't know if they're going to start with the performance model first, but who knows? They might just straight up cancel the Fremont Model Y line when Texas comes online and just say, all right, ramp Texas quick. And then Fremont's like, we got all this time. Yeah, it's nothing to do.
They really need to shut down.
What do you think
Fremont.
they'll do, Nick?
I definitely don't see they'll be splitting the two. I mean, I would personally still rather say they need to just make the Cybertruck in Texas and keep making Model Y in Fremont. Like, they're already making it fine there. Just keep it going for a couple more months and get that Cybertruck out.
In hindsight, I would have preferred this, yes.
But,
very much.
They're here now, and so it's sad that they're here. But, I hope that they don't start splitting the two. I would hate to have some people get the wrong. You have to specify, so where did you buy your Tesla? And you're like, oh, you bought it in Fremont?
They just randomize it.
Oh, totally.
No. Oh, no. You don't know. You just have to put in an order. Hope you get a good one.
I mean, that's
it could be 300 miles or
manufacturing
500.
issues, right? It was, do I get a tailgate issue or do I get a sensor issue? Do I get a front issue?
True. Though even that is not as big a deal
you
as
get an issue,
do you get
and you
300
get an issue,
miles
and
of range?
you get
Or
an issue.
I've seen some people float around this idea, which I don't like, but it almost sounds believable. How would you feel if they software limited the range on the 4680 version to match that of the 2170?
I mean, if they're waiting for the ramp. Not a bad idea.
No.
I mean, it'd just be more annoying because then people would be like, hold on, I've got 4680 batteries, but I've got 2170 range. Come on.
Well, that's the question, though. Would they know? Would people
would tear
how
them
would they
apart,
know
right?
if they have 40?
Yeah.
Some would.
I'm
But
sure
not
Sandy
everyone.
would figure it out.
Yeah, there's like a certain detail in like the charge port that's like, if this little piece of plastic is there, it's from Texas. They're like, oh, dang it, mine's from Fremont.
Well, I mean, it
then
is
later-
displayed on the vehicle, like where it's built.
Yeah.
It's a little sill.
that's true.
Or not sill, but basically a little placard.
It
on
just
that
says,
manufacturing date.
Made in United
location.
States.
United States. They change it to U.S.
It's like, ah.
Made in one of 2 states. You don't know which,
Wow.
though. I mean, it would be funny if you didn't know which battery you got, but there was just no degradation on the 4680 version.
That'd be kind of funny.
It just stays at 326.
I've been at 326
And it never
for
goes
2
down.
years now.
So you just hope you got it, and then you might have the 2170 if you get more degradation. But it's a great question. I hope at the next earnings call someone asks about that.
Nah.
Like, I would love some
What
clarification
was your
from
profit
Tesla.
margins in Q3 when this happened? Nope. I think I sent you guys this, or maybe I sent it to Drew. It's like, nope, bad question. Next. They're early Elon
I
days.
miss.
Yeah. Elon's just like,
I'm
yeah.
honestly, I'm somewhat impressed with how stale the investor questions. Like, to me, it's kind of hard to come up with a bad question for Tesla, and yet every earnings call they find like 10 bad questions, and they're like, "How are you going to make money later?" I don't know. We'll
question.
probably sell cars.
We'll probably sell cars. Not 100% sure, but we
Let's
might
pass
do
the
that.
microphone to 5 different people. Let's get 3 different answers that say the exact same thing.
Yes.
Or they try to ask them something completely ridiculous. How many times have I heard someone, when will the Teslas use Starlink?
Oh my gosh. Have you considered using Starlink? Have you seen this guy on YouTube who put a Starlink on his Tesla? Why can't you do that?
All
I
the
just wanna
questions
shake
are always,
them.
when is this coming out? When- like they're going to announce some major product. And the 25K Tesla, what's the design, what's the range, and what's the
Oh
name?
yeah, funny you
and
should
where
ask
will it
that.
be
If you
built?
turn your attention to the video feed, we have a slide presentation just for that. Thanks for asking this question. We had no other way of announcing this.
We were hoping no one would ask, but just because you did, we're going to give all this detail. But no, Mike's question makes total sense. Like, how will you roll out the Model Y Texas with new batteries compared to old batteries in Fremont? Will you shut down part of Fremont Model Y production? Or
I mean, I could speculate.
You know,
the
how-
Elon answer is, well, we'll figure out when we get there. It's going to be an interesting transition time with the 4680s.
Yes.
We'll let you know. Or something.
that's almost exactly what he'd say, I think.
Somewhere along those lines of just like, it's a transition period.
We don't know.
We're going to have to figure it out. I mean, I wouldn't say we don't
That's-
know because that doesn't look good for investors.
The
No,
funny
but that's
thing is, though,
essentially what
the
he
Tesla
said.
doesn't know. Elon has made it a point to, like, if they know something, they've already done it, right? Like, they're so innovative and they're so fast moving that if they know something, they're already doing it or have done it. And so if there's no like, oh yeah, in 5 years we plan on doing this or that, because Tesla just moves way too fast. So yeah, Elon doesn't know.
They did say in 3 years they'd have the 3-ish years. We're going to emphasize the ish on the 3-ish years when Andrew said they were going to have the 25K model.
It was Andrew Erickson, wasn't it? Was that his name?
Probably.
I think I
don't know
No,
his
You
last
guys
name.
going to be building a factory in Texas at some point? Yes.
Maybe we already are. Well, funny
How
you
are
should.
you
Funny you
responding
should
to the chip
ask.
shortage?
Actually, today we're going to announce that we have a Texas factory in Austin. Here's some pictures of it. It's almost done. See, look.
How are you guys dealing with the snakes in Germany? I have a snake right here who is very distraught.
I have a snake right here.
We have a shareholder proposition for making sure that Tesla takes care of all the snakes it finds. We need to have a vote now. We're going to let some person talk for 5 minutes about why they think the snakes are important.
Millions of cars are being produced a year, all of which have combustion engines going into the atmosphere. But we're curious what you, Tesla, are going to do about 3 bats in a tree in the Berlin area. I love how they think about that kind of detail. Like Tesla's mission isn't urgent enough. They're like, hold on.
Hold
I
the
know we're
train."
trying to... I know we're trying to make zero-emission vehicles, but there's some bats over there.
Also, there's an anthill where they were going to have the factory. We have to move every ant in that anthill.
How many ants died in the process of making Giga
It's
Texas?
just like a hit ad. You know those like bad political ads? They're just hit pieces. You didn't know that your car was made from the blood of ants. Tesla personally killed over 30,000 ants in the making of your car. That's right, if you support Tesla for 2024, you are murdering bats and ants.
There was a dead squirrel within 8 miles of the Giga Texas facility. Yep. We think the Cybertruck probably ran over it at some point.
That would be a Teslarati article right there. Dead squirrel found in Texas. 90% sure it was the Cybertruck. First fatality of the Cybertruck.
We're going to analyze the body to figure out the weight of the truck. Measure the...
Well, good thing we have a local squirrel expert, so we know exactly what we're doing here.
No one knows what they're doing.
Oh, wow. That spiraled out of control.
When are you going to start accepting Dogecoin? Because you accept Bitcoin. Why not Dogecoin? I mean, that's not a bad
actually,
question.
though.
That is actually a better question than other ones that we've had.
Can Tesla put $1.5 billion in Dogecoin as well?
I mean, yeah, it's smart to do it now.
It would have been smart to do it 2 days ago.
Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for the whole audience for joining us today.
Yeah,
Mike.
Thanks to the audience.
We appreciate
it was great having a mic over.
I'll be listening to it later.
It's gonna watch.
We're still gonna get our one view.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great week.
Have a good
Hopefully
week.
Model S deliveries happen. That's my new outro.
Hopefully Model S deliveries. Bye.
Catch you later, y'all.
Bye.